them and get like
Yeah,
really.
Why?
And that's filmed and all that stuff, but
One more?
No,
that's good.
it's improving as it's disappearing. So
Yeah,
just enough. And
It's dispersing now, isn't it?
doing 10
Yeah.
would have still let him go out on top, but taking it up to 50, that was total greed. I mean, anything other than
This
10
room
was
is
just
crazy.
total greed.
Cinematic. This room.
Oh,
near,
yeah. She just told me recently, LaJoy, who owns the place, told me that
when they were supposed
she'd
to come
had
that
some
night,
people filming a movie
because we
here
were
for
supposed to
2
get
weeks.
together in the daytime.
Yeah, and they said
And Spirit
it
told me,
was like
he's
one of the
gonna-
most
It's gonna
amazing.
change. And
There's
some
something
brother Emil
shots.
called and said,
Weird about this room, which is just great.
Mr. Jackson,
Yeah.
I said, he
The way
wants
the
me to
light
come
hits it
later.
and the way it's
And I
just
don't like to read
configured
after
is
dark or
fantastic.
after
Yeah, it's
5.
amazing.
But for him,
I think it's
you
one of
know,
those
I would.
old motion
And I said,
picture
yeah, he's,
Clark
would
Gable
you come later? I
homes.
said,
Oh,
yeah,
right,
tell him
okay.
I
Yeah.
will. And then
Way
so
back.
that meant when by the time we got finished, or I was finished, they would be coming in at 9 or 10 at night.
I can
I
even
was
see
like,
it in
who's
here.
coming and meeting at that time? And he was tired. But when I tell you he flew out of there,
Everything is great.
We just need to get.
it was like he totally
Jack talking
disappeared.
about it.
Projector.
Sorry to interrupt. So, Jacques, do you have 20 more seconds of you talking towards Reverend June, and then that's my last
so
wide shot.
That you see that the people around him. What did you tell Michael about the people around him?
He was viewed as a tool or as a finely tuned instrument. But when you have a finely tuned instrument, a Stradivarius, or one of the most beautiful pianos, you have to take care of them with care. You know, make sure they're handled perfectly, that they're put away in a, or you know, a Stradivarius in the case that it's in, or the tune and the sound of the piano that is tuned, the melody and everything. And he was only viewed as a moneymaker. And as much money as they could get, that's what they were out for. And we talked about him taking care of his business, getting rid of Tomei, talked about making sure that he went through any and all of his business papers, which were really a lot. And that for him too was overwhelming. I know that Michael did, his longtime accountants or people that he worked with for years, he got rid of them. I know, because I called them, you know, and they said, we're not, we're not with him anymore. And so they gave me somebody else.
Now, how did they feel? How did the people around him feel about you? Because they saw you directly advising Michael, because Michael had asked for that, at this key point. How did they view you? You were suddenly a threat to them.
Well, maybe so, but I had no idea. And he did ask me about, you know, coming. Tomei was a very, per Michael, a very threatening, brutish type human, and his security, per Michael, was reticent or frightened of him. Michael said, so I said, I'm scared of him. He said, well, would you come back to Vegas anytime you want? I said, I'm not afraid of him.
You're not afraid.
Tell me it
You're
mean
not
a
afraid
damn
of
thing.
anyone,
Yeah, that's I'm definitely not. I said, he didn't mean anything to me. You know, and if I had to be with Michael when he was standing there, it's like, well, excuse me. And truly, I would have said it, get the fuck out. I like that word. I mean, you know, it works. You know, so I told him I would tell him to get the fuck out. When he got on that podium at UCLA when Michael died, and he stood and spoke very authoritatively, I said, what in the world is he doing up there? He didn't have anything to do with Michael. He's not supposed to be up there.
Not just him though, June. It's like all of them, isn't it? I mean, that's even the family.
Well, he asked him.
Even the family.
Yeah, he asked. He said, June, why would Jermaine introduce me to that man? Why did Jermaine introduce me to that man? There was a lot of. You have this, but behind this is all sorts of manipulative kind of stuff going on. You know, and two people that Michael did not like. Maybe he liked him at one time, but he let me know he didn't like him. One was Deepak Chopra. The other one is, as I refer to, that schmoozing Rabbi Shmuley, one referred to Michael as a sorry man, and the other one referred to him as a foolish man, and the other one referred to him as and it was very disparaging, and it was after Michael died, and I said, now I understand why he didn't like him. People looking at him as he's Michael Jackson, so and as I told some of them, I said, none of you ever touched the hem of his garment. I love Michael. And I said, the only thing when he died is the planet didn't stop spinning. I mean, hey, Michael's bigger than Jesus. Oh my God! They're probably having a fit. They're probably going to garrote me now, but I don't care. But he is the greatest contributor to charities and to life of humanity. And then at one point, when they were going through, I guess the estate was going through his bills, and his charges, and his accounts, and all that. Tomei walks up with $5 million in a valise. $5 million cash. It's like, well, Jesus Christ, how much more do you have that you're not bringing in? And he told Michael he didn't need anything from him. He's got his son and his wife, and he doesn't need anything from anybody. I said, he's lying. There's no way he doesn't want something from you. And so there he comes with $5 million. How much more did you take? That's a lot of money. Cash money? Come on.
The day after Michael died, security was brought into the house to prevent people going in, taking stuff from the house, with black bin bags full of cash that were supposed to be under the floorboards.
Well,
The first people there were Janet, Latoya. Does that?
Janet didn't need any money from Michael. Now the rest of them they hardly had anything. They didn't have anything near what Michael has. And I'm certain. I don't care if they don't like me. I don't care. I care about him, and I care about his children. I care about his mother.
But the rest of them?
No, I really don't have any care about them. They're humans, but sometimes some individuals can only be viewed as, I guess, money bags, or what you can get from them and everything. He took care of his mother while she was living, and he knew that she would share with everybody else.
Why did they not like Michael? Why did they not like him as a human being? Did they not, the family? They didn't understand him, apart from Catherine.
Well, Michael was
Were they jealous? Jermaine was jealous.
Oh God, Michael is born blessed. Some people are born blessed. They say Jesus is born blessed, Krishna is born blessed, Buddha is born blessed, even though you have to go through your trials and tribulations and everything. I'm born blessed, so are you. Michael's mother knew her child in utero. And when I said what I said to her, that's why she trusted enough to send some of his siblings. Marlon, I guess, is doing very well. Latoya, in her book, there's the question I was told that who could have given Michael This Is It? Well, we sat next to each other for Thanksgiving dinner at the Hilton's home. Rick and Kathy Hilton, who were very good friends of Michael, so they told me. And I sat next to her. I said, somebody told me that in your book you asked who could have given Michael This Is It. I said, I gave it to him. She said, well, June, I know this right. She thought that title meant whatever she thought it was. But when she knew that I gave it to him, she said it was right. Now, I didn't know the Hiltons, but they, Carlene, whom you've met, and I went to to LaToya's book signing, and I hadn't seen her in years, so I just wanted to see her and let her know, I'm still alive, Miss Thing, honey.
You can't get rid of me that easily. I am Reverend June.
So and then I heard these people, June Gatlin, and I'm like, who was that? So I looked, and Carlene said, oh, that's Rick and Kathy Hilton. And it's like, oh. And so they came over, and they said, Michael talked about you all the time. He was like a parrot. Said every time he talked, he would call and tell us. It's like, oh, okay.
But in the world of Michael, that makes you a target. Because everyone, and you've told me this so many times, these people around him, these are your words, they are vampires, they are wolves, they are werewolves, they just will suck the blood from you. Those are Reverend June Gatlin's words to me 10 years ago about these people.
Well, okay.
So what do you think? Do you still think these people are the vampires and the werewolves?
Well, of course. Yeah, vampires, they suck the blood out of you. They'll suck your blood. I wear garlic, thank you. Vampires don't like garlic. And the werewolves, they can come in sheep's clothing. It's very interesting. Those people, they really went after Michael. Michael wasn't strong enough to fight them. In ways he was overwhelmed. I was protective of him, I still am, his reputation. Those demons who are out here now seeing all those horrendous things about him.
Can you say their name? Can you say the names Wade, Robson, Jimmy Safechap?
Well, I don't know them, but I do know one person who, when Wade Robson was with his mother, they said his mother was so possessive that she would not let him out of her sight. And this is someone who worked with Michael and his production company and everything with Bob Jones. Bob Jones is no longer on the planet. But anyway.
Why did you do that about Bob then? What were you thinking about Bob? Because Bob was the problem?
Bob was very protective in ways. And then later, he was not protective.
Well, he thought he'd been thrown out, didn't he? He was angry.
Yeah.
He said to me, after 17 years, he goes, 17 years, I have to go and sue for my holiday pay. He was a very angry man after that. He felt he'd been loyal, I think.
Well, he had been loyal and very protective. There was one time, it's so crazy. Oh, it's real crazy. There was one time, and that Randy Taraborelli.
Well, what's wrong with Randy?
Randy Taraborelli wrote, I guess it's his book called They Call Me Miss Ross, and I was going to convenience store to get a paper so I could do my crossword puzzle, and I was flipping through magazines because I was bored and it's like, okay, I gotta have something to do. So I flipped through this magazine. I don't know if it was Cosmopolitan or one of the women's magazines. And then there is about, they call me Miss Ross, an excerpt from his book. And in there's this line that says, Michael Jackson has always wanted to look like Diana Ross, his personal physician, Dr. June Gatlin. And it's like, what? And I said, I read Dr. June Gatlin. I said, that name, I said, well, Jesus Christ, that's my name. And I'm like, what? This is insane. You know, and so at that time I'd had Mrs. Jackson's phone number and stuff because she'd sent her, that was, you know, and I was like, oh my God, it was so disrespectful. And then, as fate would have it, or however spirit had it, oh, Randy Tabarelli's going to be signing his book in what is the Beverly Center. So I don't know, while you all are here in LA, maybe you'll get a chance to go to Beverly Center. And the Beverly Center, and it was going to be signing his book. So what Mother did was like, I just typed out, he's an unscrupulous journalist, he's a liar, and he has no integrity with the words that he writes. So I wrote this, and I had multiple copies made, and I called my friend. I said, we have to go to the Beverly Center for this, Randy Tabarelli's having a book signing. She said, who is he? I said, he wrote a book about Diana Ross. She said, oh my God, what are we getting into now? It doesn't matter, let's go. So we went up there, people were online, I had my papers, my flyers, I was passing them out, people were looking, you know, throwing them on the floor and everything. It's like, Jesus Christ, you know. So he came out, was behind the table, and I went up to him, I said, hi. Hi. I said, we ever met? No, I don't think so. You gotta be kidding. We've never met? You and I have never met? No. I said, then how in the hell can you put words right about me and put words in my mouth? I said, would you tell your mother that I'm Dr. June Gatlin? I said, Michael Jackson always wanted to look like Diana Ross. You don't know me, and I don't know you. And by that time, then I had my flyers, and I just threw them up in the air, and people started running, and, you know, trying to pick them up then. It was like, oh, wow, this is really a big deal, you know. And he jumped up, and they ran out from the back and came around him and everything. And if he's carrying security now, it's probably because of me, you know. And so they called the Beverly Center security, and the guys came up, and they came over to me. They said, June, what's the problem? Is there a problem? I said, yeah, he's a liar. I said, he wrote about me and said that I said that Michael always wanted to look like Diana Ross. I don't know him, and he doesn't know me. I said, he's a liar. I said, would you tell your mother that? You know, and they looked at them, and I guess they thought security was going to, like, take this little black woman out and whatever. It's like, June, do you need anything? Is there a problem? No, I ain't got no problem. And then there was another lady there, Janet Charlton, that wrote for one of the tabloids. Here's my card. It's like, I don't want your card. Why would I want your card?
Do you know, because what you're saying is that even the friends, even the people who were in Michael's camp, they betrayed him. That's what you're saying.
Well, you know, people betray people. You know, if they're not getting what they want, or I don't know what happened with Bob.
No, let's not worry about Bobby.
Yeah.
See, the thing is that we're at a point now where, again, Michael's reputation is under attack.
We have to do what we can to... He was told that his name would be redeemed. His good name would be redeemed. And when something is redeemed, that means it's brought forth in a very positive manner, to be changed for the good. And no matter what, some people can never ever do good enough. Some people can never ever give enough. You give a lot, and there's going to be some asshole over here upset because you have it to give. So how can they get from you, or how can they ridicule or tear you down? You know, how can they erode or destroy your character? So now it's 10 years. So, here's some money. You know, maybe we can make money on this. Oh, yeah, let's make some money on this. So here they are. This is the same little guy. I don't know how tall he is, or short, or big, or whatever. You know, that said that Michael didn't do anything to him. You know, and so now all of a sudden, Michael's the worst thing walking. You know, he's or they say he's a molester. I guess, I don't know, maybe a child rapist or a pedophile or whatever. You know, only we who live now can do our best to raise and praise him as he deserves to be, but then they disparage Jesus.
And you think it's the same thing?
Yeah, of course it is. You know, some people will never ever be able to do anything right, even though they're doing right every breath. There's going to be some jealous person, some person filled with enmity, including relatives.
Can I ask you, did you ever divine in Michael any sense that he had been abused as a child?
Wow. Sometimes things like that happen. And there are people, whether they're black families, white families, whatever their cultural background or their heritage. That's why the Honorable Maya Angelou wrote her book. Because she had been, and when they talk about sexually molested, no, it's like there's a difference between molestation and rape.
But did you ever see anything in him that ever gave you any inkling that something might happen?
Yeah, I had a sense. Definitely had a sense. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
And did you talk to him about it?
No.
Why not?
Well, it wasn't to be brought up. You know, it wasn't, each occasion is relevant to that moment. Michael never, well, okay. When I'm reading for people, I'm seeing like 1,000 things in a microsecond, and they're just put into these words, whatever, however they are. That was not something relevant at that time, even though it's always there for so many people.
When you say relevant, what do you mean?
Well, if we're talking about his bicycle, then we're talking about his bicycle.
Right, I see.
We're not talking about, oh, when you rode your bicycle, you were raped. That wasn't there, you know. But that's why so many people now are coming out with the Me Too movement, and you know, because people have been carrying that stuff for so long. He's not here now.
Does it make sense to you though? I mean, given the readings that you did with Michael, and given, you know, the possibility that that might have happened, does that make sense to you, that might have happened to him?
Well, there's a difference between might happen, may have happened, and it being a happening. It was a happening.
It was a happening.
Yeah, you know, there's no speculation. It was a happening. You know, but I wasn't.
You're saying that it happened, and
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to. I wasn't given to speak to him about that. You know, if we're together and I have to tell him about his eyeglasses, I have to tell him about his eyeglasses. But it's not.
But doesn't that absolutely define who he? I mean, and for anyone that happens to, it defines their life in one way or another, doesn't it?
Yes. However, Michael was, as world knows, maybe world knows, very protective of children. He loved children. We love children. I love children. I love babies. You know, I love children. And so did he. He loved toys. I love toys. We had some of the same toys. We had the same alien. Little alien toy. We had the same alien toy. We had something else. That was the same. Also, it's not so much that he was safe with children, but children don't purposefully cause hurt, harm, or would endanger your life. He was protective of them. He wanted to do everything he could to help them and to salvage a life. But a lot of people, you could play. One thing that's beautiful is my grandmother taught, you have to always play. You never grow old. You're 16 years young, you're 75 years young, you're 29 years young. When people start, I'm 15 years old. That's why you walk around look like an old person or act old and all that. But we have to always play, because it keeps you joyful and just full of fun and laughter and all that. So then when the difficult and hard times come, you know that they're there. Because it's like, what is this shit here? Like, oh my God, it's destructive. So you gotta find ways to move out of there. And children were safe for him. His mother knew children were safe for him. He's her child.
Reverend, if there was one word that sums up Michael to you, what's the first word that comes to your mind?
Magnanimous. Just. And bigger than that. Magnanimous. Just magnanimous in every way. Magnanimous in his music. Magnanimous in his prolific ways of presenting life in music. Magnanimous in his ways of conversing and sharing information. It just was so interesting the way it turned out that we were always on the periphery, especially We Are the World, and another young brother who lived with us, who just departed flesh, James Ingram. James lived with us. When James left Ohio, James came to me. I told him everything that he was going to be doing, and he did it. And now he's gone. But he worked with Michael. So it's like I was always on the periphery. I've been in the business since I was 18.
You were in the business a lot longer than that, though, June, weren't you? And this is the thing I wanted to ask you, was that I think what a lot of people don't know is this connection between you and Michael. You had the same thing. You were brought into the church at such a young age because of your gift. And you were, this is the truth, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You were really given over to adults unwillingly because of your gift.
Oh yeah, and
in the same way that Michael was.
Yeah, and them determined to dictate to me how it was supposed to be used. And if you don't do it this way, God's going to take it. So then let God take it. It ain't gone nowhere yet, is it?
So adults making money off your gift.
Yeah, wanting to. Determine how I'm supposed to be and how I'm not supposed to be, how I'm supposed to use it, and you can't do this and you can't do that. It's like, well, child, who is this here? But I was not going to be controlled by anybody. That's so interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting because I think that's a really. I think for Michael, that was a really profound bond that you had with him. You understood exactly what had happened to him because you are in a church age what, 9?
I was, as they say, born and raised in the church.
So how old were you when you were first put on that stage to divine what adults were thinking?
Well, probably from the time I was 4 or 5 or whatever.
4 or 5.
People reaching out to touch me and touching me, and I'm feeling, pulling energy from my life. But it's a real thing. This is real. I'm sitting here, but I live this thing. I breathe it every day. And I always thought, it's really interesting. To be born a woman and black with disability. That could be like the worst thing ever. It's condemned. She's going to hell. She's working for Satan. It's like, but you bring your ass up here asking me what's going on. You know, and then I tell you, you know, people have a fit, oh my God, he's using profanity. It's like, child, please. You know, but you get what you get from me, and then you'll turn around and condemn me to hell. But it's like, are you living a good life as a result of the information that I gave you? Oh yeah. You know, are you going to tell anybody that I did it? Well, you know, you just want to kind of keep it kind of private. It's like, yeah, and then you'll talk about me the way you talk about me.
It's the dishonesty of adults.
Yeah,
But
and the painful and the hurt of it.
did Michael feel that connection with you? Do you think he understood that he understood what you had gone through?
Oh yeah, because we could talk.
Right.
You know, we could probably talk about stuff that he didn't talk about with anybody else. You know, this is right at this point in the un-United States. This is Black History Month. Even though Black History is every breath, you know. But we talked about Dr. King, Malcolm X. We talked about life. We talked about what he wanted to do to help make this world a better place, even though he was doing it. But he was being him. So he was doing it. But it was still so much more that he thought about doing. You know. And we could laugh. I mean, because I wasn't making, there's no reason for me to make, I had no judgment about him. He was just Michael. It was like, oh my God, it's Michael Jackson. It's like, are you kidding? It wasn't that. You know, so I couldn't really relate to fans, because I had not experienced anything like that. And then they talked about me, calling me an enigma, and you know, all sorts of horrendous things. It's like, you all don't even know anything about me. You just heard about me because of Michael. I've been out here way long before that. I've read probably for everybody in the industry, who's anybody and thinking they somebody, and want to be somebody.
On the day that he passed, where were you?
Standing in my piano, unable to move, because I'd been told 2 days before that I had to see Michael no later than 7 a.m. that day that he passed. And so
You were supposed to see him on that day.
yeah, that I had to, if I didn't, I wouldn't see him again. So I'm thinking, because it was coming so quickly that, okay, he's gonna be going to London. And so I was thinking, well, how am I gonna get there? I can't call this person, because that way that person would know what's about me and Michael. You know, so I couldn't call them. Then I said, okay, then I was figuring out what buses would I take and how many buses would I take to get there. Then I said, well, and then I can't call my son because he's got meetings. And so I went to sleep, and I'm usually awake at 4 a.m. to watch this show called Washington Journal. And I didn't wake or get up until it was almost 10:30. And when that happened, I could barely move. I was very draggy, very heavy, and you know, and I was like, oh. So you've been there, so you know, from the sofa to the piano is just a step. And I stepped to the piano, and I was like this, and it was like, oh, because I couldn't get it together. And oh my God. And it's so interesting, because the young brother who called, priest, he said, Reverend June, have you heard about Michael? And I said, I can't talk to you now. And I called my son. I said, have you heard anything about Michael Jackson? He said, just one moment, Mother. And he turned on the TV. He said, Michael's dead. And I wanted, if I could have, and I've said it before, to fly out of my body to go to UCLA and tell him, honey, get up. Just get up. You know, get up. I really thought I had the power to I couldn't move from the piano. And it's so interesting that the young brother who called, I was just with him in the hospital last night. That's another kind of thing. But Michael was gone. And so I want to write about his soul, tell the world about his soul. And just one thing before we close is the connectivity. It was one day walking, I had to go to the store, and I like to go to Soleil. And I said, wow, if it's really there, let it be there when I come back. In about 40 minutes, I came back. It was right there. I picked it up. On the back of it was a couple shoe prints and tire prints. And I brought that huge poster home because at that time nobody knew that Michael was going to do or anything was going to be done about Michael in Las Vegas. Not me and I. And he said, "Here, June." So I brought it home. So he's still, as I told people, spirit never dies. Flesh is gone, turned to dust, whatever. You know, but spirit never dies. He's still alive. As long as people love him and little children, little babies coming up, you know, dancing and dressing like Michael and everything, he'll live forever. He'll never die.
It's one of those long looks that I do. I get the maximum juice out of this shot.
Do it again.
Oh, do you like it?
And I'm looking at him because it's like, okay, Jude, don't be channeling in
Don't be doing any of that
Yeah.
stuff. Don't you channel anything from me,
Please.
young lady.
You want your long shot, don't you, as well?
Yeah, also, I think we lost it.
We lost it.
You are.
Give me the look.
I'm going to go like this next time when we go.
Yeah, Rusty.
Reverend June, if there was one word that comes into your head when I say the words Michael Jackson, what's that word?
Magnanimous. Being the greatest of the greatest. Being huge. Being he who is the epitome, actually more than the epitome, because the epitome means there's a top. There's no end to his greatness. There's no end to his philanthropy. There's no end to the blessings that he has given to this planet through his music and through his charity and through his presence. You know, because children, babies, 4, 5, 6, my granddaughter, she asked me, calling June, "June, you knew Michael Jackson?" I said, "Yeah. How did you know that?" "Your son told me." You know, and I mean, her little fish is Michael. She's got a little Michael doll, and these children are wearing little fedoras. I think it's wonderful. So these liars, these demons, Satan's minions, these satanic-driven, greed, blood-sucking individuals will never profit as much as they think they would by disparaging him and just trying to walk all over him. They'll never be satisfied. And those who have determined that they should come out and lie about him never should have done it. Woe unto you. So if you get hit by a Mack truck or stomped on by an elephant, you'll know why. He's magnanimous. Look up the word, see what it means. And no, I'm not going to spell it, thank you very much.
Oh, that's class. June, I want you, Reverend June, I should say, because I don't know.
Oh, good, now you can say June, now we know we're familiar.
I think we are familiar. I want you just to look down the camera, just literally look down that camera for 30 seconds.
Do you want
Thank you.
to
It was more than 30 seconds.